Hey, welcome to the channel. It's Nicole Patrice. Hopefully the audio is working here. Great. Awesome. So today we're just gonna get right into it. I had a comment that was left on one of my more political videos that I recorded recently. Not even necessarily political. It was really, I mean, everything I end up talking about ends up being political, but just because I see the context of the politics in a lot of our daily events, occurrences, realities that we take for granted. And that's not a problem for me, but it seems to be a problem for other people because I'm supposed to ignore the greater landscape or the greater patterns that are happening around us, especially as Black citizens in the United States, especially in Chicago, one of the most corrupt cities in the world. Okay. And so I am, again, I'm an artist, I'm a singer, I'm a performer. I am from Chicago, South Side of Chicago. I'm very much aware of what our role is in our civic duty is to participate and push back on policies and issues that are disproportionately affecting us, but especially the idea of not allowing us to become unaccountable to our own part in what's happening. It's very easy for us to point fingers, no matter who we are. That's a colorless thing. It's just a very human thing. Is that it's so much easier to see the others part in your issue rather than step up and be responsible for it yourself. And I feel like Black people are in the worst position to continue to allow other people to control the narrative around what we need and what we don't need, what is safe and what is not safe, especially if we're going to be the vehicle for white supremacy, for um, Black plight and oppression, and really hate on ourselves and end up harming ourselves more than anyone else possibly could, because hello, proximity, hello, if you don't work on yourself and take accountability for what's happening within yourself, within your own backyard, within your own home, within your own families, within your own mind, then of course everything around you is going to be a problem as well, including those who you are more readily able to point to. But if you can't look in the mirror and start picking up your own pieces, well, we're going to just keep going around on this merry-go-round. Not so merry. Okay. So again, my name is Nicole Coco Patrice. I, have some political background and some political know-how and knowledge and all of that, but I mostly am an artist. Like, I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter. That is where my true passion is. I also work and delve into law and real estate. And I've been studying law and violence and all of that. So when I speak on these things, I'm not speaking from a place of ignorance. I'm speaking from not only lived experiences, especially lived experiences that are not through a lens of complete bias and ignorance of my part in the issue or what Black people historically have done or recently have contributed to our own circumstances. I do so I try to do it in a very statistics based and a very neutral kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? A very detached view of this. And so a lot of you take all this stuff personally. You think that I'm talking to you personally. You see your mama and your daddy when I'm talking about these issues, when honestly I don't know you and you don't know me. So you need to watch how you're talking to me in these comments. But anyway, I don't take time to sit there and type out these long essays to one ignorant individual, because that is the whole point of me having a podcast. That is the whole point of me having a YouTube channel, is that I frankly don't have time to correct one person who wants to live with their head in the sand or their head up their behinds, because it's not my job to re-raise you, okay, or re-educate you. But it is my job, I feel like, to get some of these thoughts and theories out here from, like I said, an academic, statistics, detached, kind of neutral, let's figure this out together as civil engineers, as engineers of our own citizenship, right? And really lay some groundwork for some better research and some better policy, so that one day maybe somebody will go find these videos and do something with them. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back and piece them together and make something out of it. At the end of the day, though, that is my goal, is to look at this stuff from an academic, a thought perspective, not just your feelings, just your trauma, just I want to point at the white man and stuff that happened 40, 50 years ago and pretend that black people don't have two legs, two arms, two eyes, a mouth, two ears, a brain, the ability to vote, the ability to use their money and their economic power, because we're the victim, we're the perpetual victim that white liberals would love for us to continue to be. So when you come at me and you start trying to talk to me as if I am out of touch, as if I have some bone to pick with the black community, I could be doing so many other things. I honestly, I do this because I care about other people, because at the end of the day, I could just do like the rest of these politicians have done and just make my money off of y'all's stupidity, but I choose not to. I actually end up losing money. I actually end up losing networks because I speak up on these things. So for you to come and say that I am a self-hating black is crazy work. To say that I want to sit at the table of white supremacy is crazy work. And it just says to me that you have not healed yourself and you're living in an unaccountable a cycle of unaccountability and trauma that obviously is easier for you to continue perpetuating than to look in the mirror, than to pick up your tools and get to work, especially as a man. But some of these avatars give a lot away to what the quality of your household is like anyway. So somebody decided they were going to get on my post about how in white spaces, as an entertainer, especially, or just clubbing or hanging out, sometimes in more rural or more mixed race spaces, there tends to be an ability to relax, an ability to just enjoy what you're supposed to be there to do, because you don't have to deal with all of the layers of trauma, all of the layers of potential violence, over policing, over surveillance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, to say that I just pulled this stuff out of my behind because I want to be Candace Owens, and a half, all right, is ridiculous, because the statistics are there, my love. All right. So this person decided they were going to say, I can't stand to see blacks hating on their own, like go live in Indiana, you're miserable. And the idea of go live in Indiana as if like there's no black people in Indiana also is hilarious to me. Like what? I guarantee you, you probably know a black person that lives in Indiana, and you probably enjoy some of the benefits of not having to deal with a place like City of Chicago's crime policies, the Safety Act, knowing that you have an open carry environment where people are less likely to run up on you. But we can talk about that another time. The point is that I'm not hating on anybody, okay? As a black woman especially, I know what the pitfalls are of public safety, okay? Especially as someone who works in, like I said, nightlife and ends up in a lot of different venues where things can go left very quickly. So I'm pointing out that inside too many black spaces, I do not feel safe. And for you to try to hush me and then label me as white adjacent or attempting to be a sellout because you can't use your dual mind, and you can't see beyond trauma and what white liberals have fed to you on most of your media platforms and in your school systems, is saying more about you than it does about me. But we can go ahead and we can just get to the data here. I'm not going to apologize though for saying out loud what both the data and my own eyes show me. Okay. So let's just get into it. We know that Chicago has disproportionate violence, okay, to the rest of the country. According to the University of Chicago Crime Lab, in a 2024 annual report, Black Chicagoans suffer gun homicide victimization at 22 times the rate of whites. So when I go out in majority Black neighborhoods, I'm stepping into the highest risk environment in the city, okay? There's a geographic concentration issue. That same crime lab report shows the difference between the safest and most violent Chicago police districts was 26 times in 2020. A handful of neighborhoods carried nearly all of the burden. Okay, so you go to certain neighborhoods on the south and west sides of Chicago that are disproportionately Black, you already know what is going to happen to you 9 times out of 10, 26 times whatever everybody else is dealing with. Okay, the data's there. Weekends, Every weekend in Chicago, media documents party-related shootings. So on my original video where this guy got out of his body and wanted to talk to me crazy like he would never say to my face, right? Because he getting all tough because he got anxiety about where he can't go, okay? Every weekend, you have to worry about these mass shootings and the body counts that come up when people get together in Black neighborhoods, okay? The Sun-Times, Chicago Sun-Times reported on August 10, 2025, that a West Side Block party turned into a mass shooting. One person killed, several wounded. That's not a rare event. It's a weekly rhythm. That's something that you can expect to happen every weekend in mostly Black neighborhoods. I'm not hearing about those stories happening in Orland Park. I'm not hearing about those stories happening in Oak Brook Terrace. I'm not hearing about those stories happening in Schaumburg and Barrington. Okay. So I don't get where you're offended here that I'm telling you the truth. Lethality is also rising. The University of Chicago Crime Lab also found that the lethality of shootings, meaning how often shootings turn into a homicide, has gone up about 45% since 2010. Now, again, we got our mayor who is saying crime is down, everything's getting better, we all love it. But at the end of the day, things are not all peaches and cream, okay? Now, I messed up and I ended up resetting my stuff. So I'm all logged out of everything. So let me get a second and just pull this up for you. All right. And so I just want to show you guys here some of the things that for some reason I'm supposed to ignore that happen all too often. Okay. So this is Wirepoints, lovely source for a lot of data. Shout out to Ted Dabrowski and the crew over there. Chicago crime is low. Tell that to, this is posted on August 13th. Tell that to the thousands of victims. And why does Chicago keep leading the nation in total murders each year for 13 years in a row? Okay. And this is very well known stat here. And then they have a screenshot of, it looks like a WGN news story, 68-year-old woman beaten and robbed amid series of similar attacks. Okay. Like this stuff isn't just being made up, guys. So here we have the article, Chicago crime is low. Tell that to the thousands of victims. This is Ted on the Morning Answer from Wirepoints, actually. And so shout out to Morning Answer, Dan Proft as well. So Ted was on with Dan Proft to talk about President Trump's recent comments about potentially intervening in Chicago's crime crisis, the unhelpful reactions from Mayor Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker, Ted's call for safe cities, and more. Okay, so it's just a video here. I guess we can play that. Hopefully my audio comes.
I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news.
Hang on.
They don't believe how toxic this is. If you're still using a
online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
That theme music means it's time for our weekly afraid to turn his sights to the Midwest, saying this about the two principals here. That would be BLM Brandon and Jelly Belly.
If we need to, we're going to do the same thing in Chicago, which is a disaster. We have a mayor there who's totally incompetent. He's an incompetent man.
It's not surprising to me that
Pritzker's an incompetent. His family threw him out of the business, and he ran for governor. And now I understand he wants to be president. But I noticed he lost a little weight, so maybe he has a chance.
Yeah, we're all very excited about the weight loss of the governor. I want him to live a long and healthy life in as a private citizen.
Definitely.
Anyway, the response from the invocation of Chicago and the little jabbing of BLM Brandon and Pritzker came quickly. First, BLM Brandon.
It would destabilize our city, quite frankly. No one in the city of Chicago, residents that I've spoken to, the people of this city, no one has ever asked for the National Guard.
And of course, the residents that he speaks to are representative of the larger opinion of 2.7 million residents. Of course.
Right.
How thick is your bubble? And we know, as mentioned earlier in the program, that in point of fact, despite the hand-wringing going on right now in the halls of power here and within the propaganda arms of the Chicago Democrats, that it was actually members of their party who previously have suggested the need for the National Guard to be called in to deal with endemic violence in Chicago. So Trump's suggestion is old news, actually. The Democrats got there first, sort of like with gerrymandering. But now when a political opponent does it, now it's time for the performative hysterics. I get it.
Right.
For and here was Pritzker's response. I need to give Pritzker his turn.
That's not surprising to me that he suggests violating the law. He's done it many times and been convicted of it 34 times.
Ted Dabrowski, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, Dan. How are you?
Good. So the suggestion that Trump could intervene in Chicago if those two individuals we just heard from can't find their way to make the city and the region a bit safer than it is currently.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. And I think, number one, I'm reminded of what Selena Zito said back in the day, that the press takes him literally but not seriously. And, I think what needs to be done is they need to take him seriously but not literally. I don't think he wants to bring in the National Guard. It's his message, and he's so smart about it. It's his message to warn Chicago, warn Illinois that and he's right. We've had the highest murder rate 13 years in a row. And, I've talked about this endlessly. And, the press doesn't pick it up. Pritzker doesn't care. Johnson doesn't care. 13 years in a row, number one in murders. And, a guy like Pritzker, a guy like Trump knows that. And, he senses it. He knows it. So he's out there messaging. He's not threatening Florida. He's not threatening Texas with the National Guard. He's threatening Illinois. And for a good reason, because we have done nothing about this crazy murder rate for more than a decade now.
That's a good point. I mean, Houston, Texas, that's a Dem-dominated city, but you don't hear Houston being called out very often. Not on this count, is number one for murders in the aggregate nationally. That's what you mean. I found it interesting. All the headlines and the chyrons on TV are about lowest murder rate in 30 years in D.C. and crime is falling and so on and so forth. Well, as I mentioned before, I mean, it's not very persuasive if you compare DC's murder rate now to DC's murder rate of recent vintage, when your murder rate is still higher, your murder rate per capita is still higher than Baghdad's. The fact that you're doing a little bit better than you were doing doesn't mean that this is that you're providing the quality of life that your residents expect and deserve.
Well, that's right. And, there's a lot of people say, Ted, be careful. Crime is really down, so you can't really talk about it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is just because we're down. And it is true, right? We're down across the country. Baltimore is at 50-year lows. I was looking at this morning, I was looking at all the cities. Everybody's down dramatically. So it's not so much, what Johnson's going to say, look what I did in Chicago. And it's not true at all. I mean, this is a massive wave, and it has a lot to do with Trump coming in, getting away from COVID, just exhaustion with crime. I don't know, right? And it'll take us a long time to figure out what happened. But we can't get relaxed just because we have a good year. No, it's still horrific, and we still got 240 murders already this year in Chicago. And yes, that's low. But tell that to the parents who are losing their kids, or tell that to somebody who lost their mother or father. It's still crazy. 240 murders. We won't hit 500 this year, but it's still horrific. And not only that, Dan, it's so much higher than New York, which is 3 times bigger than we are.
Well,
so we got to.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is, can we just reset the table? Like, the expectation to live in Chicago and be content is I didn't get murdered or carjacked today.
Right.
Don't we have a little bit like higher expectation, desire for quality of life than I was not a victim of crime today?
Yeah, and I think Trump, and I forget who you're talking to earlier, but Trump is trying to change the model, right? It's not It's not good enough just to have a lower murder rate. Let's have safe cities. I mean, it's a really ambitious goal, but it's a beautiful goal. I mean, you want Chicago to be safe for everybody, not just in the Loop, right? But for all the people who are in the South and West neighborhoods. It's what they deserve, right? But we've destroyed policing. We've destroyed leadership. We have to flip it. This is the big problem I keep having, and this is the argument I keep having. If you don't address this, which is what Trump is doing, if you don't address this problem, if you don't acknowledge it, you'll never fix it. And that's my problem with the media.
If you don't acknowledge it, you will never fix it. We cannot accept this, especially on the South and West sides. Like, we can't afford to accept this. But, if y'all cool with pretending your neighborhoods are perfect, which they're not, most, like I said, like what I said was not unfathomable for a lot of people. I hear people all the time say they want to go downtown and kick it. They'd rather be in the Loop and kick it. They'd rather go up north and hang out. They'd rather go to a suburb and hang out just so they can be away from the core of the problems in the disinvested South and West sides of Chicago. So to sit here and act like I am saying something that is antithetical to public safety, to sit here and act like I am jumping on some partisan bandwagon for a white audience and their approval is insane, because frankly, most white people are not concentrated on the South and West sides of Chicago. Chicago is a very segregated city. It invented redlining. It invented urban segregation as we know it, and the model damn near still stands. Okay, you can cross a railroad track and tell when you're going to start seeing the Latinos, when you're going to start seeing the Blacks, when you're going to start seeing the whites. So please miss me with this, lack of history and lack of nuance into what exactly we are dealing with. The more we are segregated in our own cities, the more we will have to deal with racism, with the policies behind racism. And when you look at the last 90 years of having Democrats run these cities, running Chicago, okay, knowing that we have Black leaders and Democrats who have been running Chicago, and now you say, when I say that we need to address crime and that nothing has really benefited us in particular, and I point out how the problem is disproportionately affecting Black people, you get in your feelings about it and tell me I'm lying, when God only knows what the real issue is, which is you're living through your trauma more than likely, rather than wanting to face the music and face the facts. If we are not accountable to what is happening, if we keep blaming outsiders when we have the power within our own backyard to fix these things, when we should be able to acknowledge them and speak up and also take accountability for our part in how things got to where they are. These progressive policies are not working. The soft on crime policies are not working. Welfare, the perpetual loop of welfare and families, children having children because they are so dependent on the welfare system being a safety net rather than giving people the mental health services that they need, getting people the proper education that they need, not throwing all this money into a teachers union that is using all of those resources, time and energy for activism to further perpetuate the strain and the grift that allows them to collect donations, collect your dues, collect all of these funds without accountability, because we still haven't seen the audits, and then take your children marching to the polls after they filled their head with garbage that makes no sense. If Brandon Johnson isn't the lesson in how certain people can talk a good game, they can look like you, they can say they're on your side, but then they can take ShotSpotter away, save millions of dollars, but your community never sees it, make excuses for why your children are downtown tearing up the city, make excuses for why you can't call 911 and get somebody to stop a burglary, come and close a murder case for you. I don't know what to tell you. The grift is going to keep going as long as you keep making excuses for why Black people cannot speak on Black people's issues, why Black people cannot acknowledge that white people are not completely the problem. We can say historically, yes, there's been a problem. We can say that. But at the end of the day, we have so many fail safes legally. So if you don't know how to exercise your rights, which is one of them is being accountable and speaking up and exercising your First Amendment and going to the polls and looking at the research and speaking from a place of knowledge and not your feelings, we'll never get anywhere. So be accountable. And I thank Ted for speaking on this.
With Pritzker, with Johnson, they don't want to address it. They'd rather hide it. And the media follows along, with the exception of, your show and a few others. And this is why it doesn't get fixed, because it gets hidden. Just like the school stuff where kids can't read, just like the out-migration, right? Pritzker's hiding the population loss. It's the same thing over and over.
Well, the other thing that he does too is stake out real territory, like where we want to be. Now, it may be complicated to get there, but where we need to be. And he mentioned specifically in relation to Chicago and other cities, no cash bail. So that implicates the Pritzker Safety Act, the Pritzker Purge Law. And it's baffling to me, given the documented preventable crimes and preventable deaths and victimization of people that has not been prevented, that has been exacerbated, that has been facilitated by the Safety Act. That we don't have a Republican Party staking out, one of the things that we're going to do, one of the things I'm going to do as governor, one of the things we're going to do as a party, if we were to gain political power in this state, is we're going to repeal the Safety Act. No, we're not going to tinker on the margins. We're going to repeal it. And if you want to talk about sort of sensible bail reforms on the margins, then we can have that conversation after we reset the table,
right?
And hold people over, to have the disposition be to hold repeat violent offenders over for trial and not release them pre-trial, essentially of their own recognizance on electronic monitoring, where at some small percentage, but it's still a big impact, commit violent crimes while awaiting trial for another violent crime. We're not doing that anymore. That's over if we get in. And then if you want to talk about things on the margins, these anecdotes that actually turn out to be apocryphal that the left is always trying to sell, then we can talk about those. But we're going to reset the table. We're going to get back to a place of, to borrow a phrase from BLM Brandon, stability. And then we can talk about some of those things that you want to address on the margins.
Watch what.
So yeah, you guys can watch the rest of that. But yeah, it's insane that you want to ignore the very thing that impacts your community damn near, like not necessarily, alone, but definitely disproportionately, definitely the majority of the time is affecting your community. So look, y'all wanna play crazy, go off. But what I'm not gonna do is sit here and act like this isn't happening. Chicago has led the country in murders 13 years in a row, 14 coming. Shouldn't be that way. Murders year to date, 240 in Chicago with a 2.7 million population, 188 in New York with 8.5 million. Okay. Almost 4 times, right? 4 times the population with, 60% like more murders. Like, this is crazy. Or 30-45% more murders. 158 in LA, 3.9 million population. Okay. Almost half. Okay. 138 in Philly with a 1.6 million population. We need to do better. Okay. We need to do better. And so, I'm not going to be satisfied with pretending it's all the white man and I should just be quiet and I shouldn't speak on these truths, when I know that they are affecting not only me and mine, but people around me, people I care about. And like I said, we're talking about multiple layers to this. It's not just, regular everyday civilians or people just living in their residential, areas. This is commercial impact. These affect our businesses. This is why we can't have stores in our neighborhoods. This is why you have all these Walgreens locations that are closed. You have all these Walmarts that are closed. Elderly people can't get their medicine. They got to go. They have to have a car. They have to take a bus. They got to get it delivered. the Amazon packages and the deliveries getting stolen off your porch. Like, this stuff is just, it's an ongoing cycle of a lower quality of living for Black people. And so I'm not supposed to speak on that. I'm not supposed to point out that it's happening to Black people. I'm supposed to pretend that everything's okay. Like, imagine that was your answer to Jim Crow and slavery and, Red Summer. It's like, that, like, it doesn't work. You got to say what the thing is to fix the thing. So yeah, Black people's neighborhoods are in disarray, in dysfunction. Our families are operating in dysfunction, and liberal policies, Lyndon Johnson's welfare system, and all this garbage that we call our safety nets have done nothing to repair the actual issue. There is no reparation in that. There is no repair in that. You're exacerbating the issue by allowing people to ignore their own contributions to the problem and to continue to pretend that everything is okay as long as you can go, drop $100 in Snap and go feed your family today. Never mind, you're going to kick that 18-year-old out the house because they turned 18 and got a job, and now they're cutting your Snap down. And now that 18-year-old has to go out and fend for themselves and try to figure out where they're going to pay rent. With 20 hours per week, $17 an hour. It's not going to work, especially if they never learn how to manage money because you've been living on welfare your whole life. They're not going to be on Section 8 because you had the Section 8. Now you threw the damn 18-year-old out because you didn't want to lose your Section 8 because they got a part-time job while they're trying to go to school. This is real life. Never mind the girl on SSI that got pregnant 4 or 5 times and keeps having babies that's further on SSI. And now everybody has, this ceiling that they're going to reach of $975 a month or whatever it is now. Right. And then it's like, well, I'm getting that check. And then I get low rent. But then the toll on society where we're now wondering, what are these people going to do after it runs out? Or what are these people going to do, once they try to live somewhere without the training wheels, when they have to pay full rent, when they have life events that cost real money, because $975 per person only gets you so far. Like literally living off, that's like $200. It's a little over $200 a week. I spend that in groceries easily. But this is what you want me to believe, that everything's okay. Trump's taking this away. And if I speak on how it's holding us back, then now I want to be with the white people and I don't care about the Blacks. If I were to just shut up and let y'all do y'all, what would that make me? Your friend? You want the politicians to ignore your issues? This is why we don't get anything when we vote. Because we're too busy going, yeah, we're not the problem. It's everybody else. Okay. Good luck with that. All right. So back to what I was saying. And then so when we talk about being unsafe in the city, and we see the statistics, we see, especially in Chicago, what's going on with that. We just had the Mellow Bucks River North, I think it was, shooting where, this rapper Mellow Bucks was at a album release party, and it got shot up. Several people in her camp, people I think she might have even been related to, were shot and killed. Okay. Mass shooting at an event. Venue had to close. Almost damn near every week, we got a venue that ends up closing. Okay. And we're supposed to just act like this isn't happening. Right. Actually, let me pull this up real quick. Let me see if I can find this. Because it's insane. And then we got this mayor who wants to pretend these things aren't happening. Let me see if this is the one. I believe so.
Making an apology, and Mayor Johnson,
I
apologize. A couple weeks ago, I asked you if you would cooperate with ICE if your wife Stacy's body was
Hey, we just gotta get to the question.
I'm making an apology, and
everyone else has questions too.
and if it was your wife Stacy's body that had been concealed and abused by Jose Luis Mendoza Gonzalez, the illegal alien, you said that you felt threatened by the question, that it scared you, and I do apologize. Over the weekend, President Trump said that you were incompetent, called you an incompetent mayor, called you an incompetent man. Almost on cue, 1,000+ violent teenagers rampaged through your neighborhood, your adopted neighborhood of Austin that you and your wife Stacy moved into from Elgin, and assaulted police officers, multiple shootings. A woman was shot in the back multiple times who sadly passed.
William.
My question to you is simply this. Do you
see the disrespect though here? He's literally trying to frame the question because he knows how these people like to chop up videos and take things out of context and try not to answer your full question. So the way that this mayor has answered questions in prior press conferences is exactly why he asks the questions the way he asks them. And then the fact that he's being disrespectfully cut off every 2 seconds, like let the man freaking breathe, because I know you're not doing that to anybody else. So shout out to William Kelly for not being intimidated, not letting this man try to get the upper hand in these press conferences, and really asking the questions that all of the media should be asking, because they represent us and they represent the truth. And so this man is taking a lot of the assault, like he is taking a lot of the attacks that should be spread across all of the media.
or your neighbors in Austin do contact me and they tell me that they don't feel threatened by my questions. They feel threatened by your anti-curfew policies that are leading to these out of control, violent teenagers murdering people.
Thanks, man.
You see how they cut his mic out? And then this old weird, look at his face. Like he is so mental. The blinking, the eyes. This is a person seething with rage. Okay. And why? You're robbing us blind. You're killing us. Why are you mad?
What do you say to your neighbors? What do you say to those neighbors in Austin who feel threatened by your policies?
Thank you for staying awake during our presentation. I know you have worked hard to get the necessary help that's needed.
Really?
And whatever condition in which that you are dealing with, I'm glad that you are getting some help. So that
Is that honestly your answer to your neighbors who have been, a neighbor of yours was shot in the back multiple times?
So we are addressing community safety. That's my top priority, and we will continue to do that.
Yes.
This man gives no fuck about anybody. And this is why he has 150 plus police fucking detail. And he can get up here and talk to this man in this way and insinuate that he has a health condition, which is like beyond me as to what this has to do with anything, especially since we're talking about violent crime in your so-called neighborhood. And you're the one who looks like you're going through the mental health issue. Mental health is nothing to be laughing about, especially when you've decided you're going to have all these people running around on the street and we're going to be the victims of it. And you're going to keep letting them out on damn ankle monitoring. But anyway,
my follow-up to you is simply this. My follow-up to you is simply this. You're the one who's having panic attacks. You're the one who is not keeping the people of Chicago safe.
All right, we're gonna go to the next question.
What do you say to Donald Trump? How did you feel when Donald Trump called you incompetent? What did you feel as a human?
Just address this. Thanks.
Please answer that question, if you would.
Okay, fine. Since you are begging.
Since you're begging.
I do believe that Donald Trump is.
On behalf of the people of Chicago, I do ask questions. That is true.
Answer that. I do appreciate you begging. So.
What a weirdo. Like, what a weirdo. Like, it's giving Bathhouse Berry. It's giving Bathhouse Berry without the bathhouse. We're in, like the well-known, the well-known reputation for being in frequenting the bathhouse. This man is in need of some real freaking help, because not you trying to pose it as him begging when he's simply asking questions and knowing that you're not going to answer them. This man is on such a power trip. It's insane. Meanwhile, we are paying the cost, every cost, the human cost, the economic cost, the generational wealth cost, our citizenship being completely sidelined.
I would just say it like this, that the president has always been intimidated by the intellectual prowess of Black men. And so, of course, he would speak in those petite in puerile terms because he's small.
Mayor Johnson?
Because he's small. Bro, what weird, violent Chicago-based porn does he think he's starring in? Like, I'm over it. But anyway, let's move on. So when we talk about the violence, let me just see if I can pull this up. In Chicago and at venues. Okay, like Mellow Bucks confirms boyfriend, brother, and 2 best friends killed in mass shooting at her mixtape release party. Okay. This is Chicago. So okay. Total normal weekend though. Total normal weekend in Chicago. This is supposed to be acceptable for us. I'm not supposed to speak on this because it's Black people. Because that way I can make us look good compared to white people. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters is that white people can't say, oh my God, look at those poor Blacks. Like you're so worried about the white gays is really the issue here. Is really the issue here is that you're worried about the white gays and I'm supposed to shut up about it. Because, oh my God, not you actually making the Black people accountable. I'm sorry. I just want to highlight a couple more. Like, I just want y'all to see, this is I live this shit. Okay. And you're going to tell me go live in Indiana, bitch. No, I want my city to be better. You bitch. Excuse my French.
What you going to, bitch? I hit your ass. This motherfucker hit our car. I know. Then I'm for you. I'm filming it for you. Okay, yeah, right. All right.
He said, okay, yeah, right. See what I'm saying? What is this? What is that? Did white supremacy make him do that?
No problem.
Moving to Indiana gonna fix that for any of us?
Back up, bitch.
You see what I'm saying? Like, what do you want from me? This is like all day. This is like all day. Hold on. Okay. All day.
We've got millions. Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person. That's £200 off for a family of 4. We've got millions of free child place holidays available.
Like what?
With 22.
Like not a bunch of kids.
Included. Nothing.
Like not a bunch of kids stealing a damn detective vehicle. Like what is that? Hold on. There's so much. There's so much. And of course, I'm not saying that the crime happens exclusively to Blacks and in Black neighborhoods or just involving Blacks, but like, are we for real? Are we for real? We don't have a problem?
No, this nigga just passed that. No.
This is where you want me to hang out. This is where you want me to hang out. You want me to hang out with that, act like everything's fine. That's what I'm supposed to do with that. Huh? That's what I'm supposed to do with that.
Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person. That's £200 off.
That's
for
what
a
I'm supposed to
family
hang
of
out
four.
with.
We've got millions of free
This-
child place
this is-
holidays available.
This is happening in Indiana.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person. That's £200 off for a family of four.
You got about 5 people, 5 police officers trying to get some guy off the bus.
Kilograms of baggage included.
Kept threatening the driver, and the police had to come drag him off. This is what I'm supposed to. That's what I'm supposed to contend with. That's what I'm supposed to contend with. Which is crazy. A shooting on 83rd and Morgan yesterday on the south side. That's footage of that. I mean, we could do this all day. 5 people just shot near 43rd and Cottage Grove, including a 72-year-old woman. This is what I'm supposed to hang out with. This is what I'm supposed to be quiet about. I'm supposed to sit there and be quiet about this. Never mind the bullets whirring by. Your seniors are dying, and I'm supposed to be quiet because white people. Right? 5 shots, 735 East 43rd, male 35, arm, left arm, tourniquet applied. Female, unknown age, right leg, tourniquet applied. Female, 72, left shoulder. Male, 44, right foot. Male, 39, right arm, mass shooting. 25 shell casings. This is what I'm supposed to just be quiet about. Cops trying to make an arrest. Somebody throws a bottle, hits him in the head on the west side last Saturday, or a couple Saturdays ago. This is what I'm supposed to sit around and be quiet about. They jumping on the police, they fighting the police when they come to try to make peace, and I'm supposed to be like, these are great places to be. Let's do it again. See you guys next weekend if I make it. Fight at Navy Pier right outside Reunion Restaurant. Okay. This is what I'm supposed to be cool with. Bud Billiken Day Parade. It's for the kids, y'all. Good old wholesome family fun. For the kids. Back to school. Groups fighting at a parade. A historical black parade on the south side. I'm not supposed to talk about this though, because black people. I'm not supposed to talk about this because white people might see. I'm not supposed to talk about this because Republicans exist and black people refuse to join them, even though they may have similar goals to stop some of this crime. Because the Democrats don't care. We've seen that. They don't care. They want us to be quiet, just like you do. You want to silence me. My First Amendment right. I'm supposed to shut up. You got a bloody teenager over here. Back to school. Back to school. Everybody's gonna have a great time. One of many fights at the Chicago Southside Bud Billiken Parade. Historic parade, up to 50 people fighting for the children. Back to school. I'm supposed to shut up about this. Lake Central, beat a man with metal pipes and baseball bats. I'm supposed to shut up about this.
Hey, put Bob. Damn, no, they're gonna kill him. Leave him alone.
They're gonna kill him.
Leave him alone. Oh, they gonna kill him. Oh, they gonna kill him dead, boy. They gonna kill him dead, boy.
This is normalized.
They gonna.
This is normalized, and I'm supposed to shut up about it because who do I think I am? White? Do you hear yourself? Do you hear yourself? Because if I'm black, I'm supposed to be okay with this. I'm supposed to shut up, supposed to pay my taxes, and I'm supposed to just dodge the bullets. That's what I'm supposed to do, right? Right? Tow trucks acting crazy. I mean, look. Y'all wanna look at this. Gang fight in a, I don't know, looks like a Popeyes or something. This ain't got nothing to do with y'all. We're in a public place. Chick-fil-A. Looks like a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, get like that. Get like that.
I'm supposed to be okay with that because don't acknowledge the problem. Like the police can't even arrest people without getting beat up. This is 79. Looks like a safe place to hang out.
Oh God, leave this man alone. They need to whoop their ass. He just attacked this boy like that. They hopped out the car on him. They hopped out the car in the middle of the street and attacked this man. Huh?
That's called an arrest, sweetie. That's usually how that works, you know. So yeah, this is what we're dealing with here, and I'm supposed to be okay with it because I'm black. Because I'm black, I should be okay with going into a neighborhood not knowing if I'm going to come out alive. Because that's what I deserve as a black person, as a black woman especially. I'm supposed to just be quiet and take it. Yeah. So anyway, venues and management. Low clearance breeds fear. Okay. Chicago Sun-Times and the Trace investigation found that in 2024, only 6% of non-fatal shootings led to an arrest, and homicide clearance hovers around 27%. That means if a shooting happens outside a club, odds are overwhelming. No one is held accountable. Operational gaps. The city of Chicago's liquor license rules require late hour bars to have exterior safety plans, lighting, cameras, trained security, but many smaller Black-owned venues can't afford that. But I'm supposed to ignore that. I'm supposed to ignore the fact that we have all of these Black aldermen and all these Black politicians, and we spend, millions of dollars as a community, but we can't seem to have that money channeled into bettering our neighborhoods. Economics. A NORC survey published by AEO Works shows Black-owned businesses face 41% credit denial rates compared to 18% for white-owned firms. But if I don't say anything about it, then it all clears itself up. Because I'm anti-Black if I do. If I mention this, I'm anti-Black. The mind fucking here is crazy. The Illinois Department of Commerce's Black Business Survey 2023 echoes that access to capital is the biggest obstacle. The Chicago Urban League's 2025 State of Black Chicago report also highlights those persistent gaps. Less capital means thinner safety budgets. Yep. There you go. So, I mean, why can't we invest our money into actually making our own capital, creating an environment where we can do co-ops? Well, we don't trust each other. And why don't we trust each other? Well, the story continues because we can't be accountable, because we know we can't look in the mirror and point to the thing and say what the thing is without somebody getting in their feelings and remaining in their trauma. We can't have it both ways. You can't say, hey, Black people have gone through so much, but Black people have been so oppressed for hundreds of years, and then say, but we're fine. We're fine. It doesn't work. White-owned venues I've performed in often have better capital, and they tend to meet those requirements. And that's one of the reasons why I feel safer in those spaces. But I can't say that. It's anti-Black to notice things about the Black community. So we have the personal versus, the one-offs, because people love to say, what about the Highland Park 2022 parade shooting? But yeah, that was tragic, and it happened in a mostly white suburb, right? But we got to be clear. This was a one-off mass event. I'm talking in Chicago, it's violent, it's chronic, it's every weekend, it's retaliation beefs, it's block parties, it's neighborhood disputes spilling into the nightlife every single weekend, okay? Block Club Chicago covered a 2024 house party in Gage Park where 3 people were killed and 5 were wounded. That's the difference. Not a freak tragedy once in a decade, but a weekly drumbeat. And that was actually the Venezuelans, right? They're going to try and cover that up and just say Chicago men. Okay. They're going to throw their stats on you, right? And then how do you think that's going to help with your capital and your insurance rates and your home buying potential, right? If you live here, you don't measure safety by maybe once in 10 years. You measure it by whether you can walk out of a party on a Saturday night without ducking bullets, without ending up trying to identify your loved one in a morgue. Okay. So this is why I insist on a 10-point safety standard before I perform, okay? That they got cameras and lights at entrances, okay? Trained in adequate security, bag checks and metal detectors, especially if I'm in Chicago, but I don't have to worry about these things in rural areas. I don't have to worry about these things in mostly white neighborhoods. I don't even consider myself in danger in a lot of these areas because the police force is more responsive. The impetus for even acting like this, the violence, and the anger and the aggression is not even really there like that. So this is why I don't know why you're offended and very angry and aggressive yourself in the way that you commented, which leads me to believe that you understand exactly what I'm saying. You just don't like it. You just don't like how it sounds being said out loud because white gays. Okay. But the statistics are there. The research is there. Okay. They got better parking lot control, and then usually there's just a better flow of revenue in general to allow that things are not happening out of poverty and trauma. Like, I don't know how else to say that. It's very self-explanatory in my opinion. And so none of this to me is anti-Black. These are literal best practices that are recommended by the city of Chicago and proven effective in studies. And the 2024 JAMA Internal Medicine found that when Baltimore forced bars to close earlier, violent crime around those bars fell by 23%. So, we kind of have to choose. Like, do we want late night venues or do we want to be safe? and that's the reality of it. So, I mean, you can say, hey, it's anti-Black to notice that, but we live like we know this. We know for sure when it gets too late, when we don't know enough people, when we aren't armed, when we don't go through metal detectors, when we're in a place that we have not, been before, or with, a lot of Black people that we don't know, we get a little uneasy. And that's because the trauma exists out of experience, not necessarily just theory, definitely not from, media painting Black communities with a broad stroke, without some sort of actual justification for what's actually happening. We are not accountable. Like you saw in those videos of them girls fighting. Like who has taught these people to consider walking away, not making this some event where, this is the answer. But because the victims are Black, the city of Chicago's violence reduction dashboard shows that overwhelmingly the majority of the shooting victims are Black residents. But if we say something about it, it's anti-Black, right? Trying to protect Black people from being hurt through violence and not having their crimes solved because the clearance rate is also low, which also can be considered part of our responsibility or lack of reporting crime, a lack of trusting the police, lack of snitch, the whole culture of snitches get stitches, again, not being accountable to our community. Because the risk is higher, the crime lab makes it clear Chicago gun violence is both more concentrated and more lethal than before. And because solutions exist. So these are just some of the reasons that I don't want to sugarcoat this, okay? The research on bar management safety plans prove crime can be reduced without closing these spaces altogether, but that seems to be the trend now, is just close the spaces. So now you're Black, you don't have the spaces because we don't want to admit what's wrong with our reality. So you want me to sugarcoat it, or you want to have venues? You want me to sugarcoat it, or you want to live? You want me to sugarcoat it, or you want to see your Black fellow residents die one off at a time every weekend? Okay. So when I say I feel safer in white spaces, it's not about loving whiteness. It's about loving my own life and yours too, fellow Black. Okay. If you want me to stay in Black venues, then go ahead and raise the bar and hold yourself accountable and speak towards these things and stop tiptoeing around them, because that saves no one. We need funding. We need security. And basically we need to understand what community is and how we are accountable to one another. So to me, that is not betrayal, that is survival. Okay. And we are living in a very survivalist mindset. So I'm going to keep basing my information in statistics. The University of Chicago Crime Lab has a lot of this information. If you follow like some of those pages, like I just showed you on X, the Chicago Goofies, you will see a lot of this stuff happening in real time. CWB Chicago is another one. So I appreciate like Ted Dabrowski. I appreciate Dan Proft in the Morning Answer. I appreciate the Chicago Contrarian. Please check them out. They have a podcast as well. I appreciate President Trump for trying to, seeing what he's done in DC and trying to make these police forces more accountable to their citizens and law-abiding citizens, and taking the impetus for crime away by reducing the things that perpetuate it, especially when we talk about in Illinois with this no cash bail and the sanctuary city policy. We're hiding criminals. We're making it okay for criminals to change their names or hide or get off on ankle monitoring and go do more crimes. We are punishing victims for having weapons. You try to defend your home in an intruder incident with your weapon, and they can take your weapon based on FOID laws. And it's antithetical. The law-abiding citizens end up paying the higher costs for crime. It's not fair. We need to bring back tougher crime policy. And if you can't agree with that, you don't care about your community. If you can't acknowledge that it's unsafe on the south and west sides of Chicago in a way that you don't have to worry about that when you go to the Loop or the north side or the suburbs, northwest or south, I don't know what to tell you. You're in denial. You moved to Indiana, where they have open carry, where they don't play these games with the police, where you will get locked up for a long time. And then you come talk to me about safety. But until then, I think you're anti-Black. I think you have the issue with your own Blackness, and you're too worried about the white gaze to fix what's wrong in your own community. And to me, that is a disservice to yourself as well as those around you. So that's all I got to say about that. If you have anything else to say, good sir, I forgot your name, but go ahead and comment. If you want to join, we can actually have a panel one of these days, and maybe we can debate some of your concerns about this. But from what I see, you're the one with the issue, okay? And you need to heal that trauma, because the issue isn't me and what I said about fact-based and lived experiences within the Black community, and how I can compare those to my experiences without the community, outside of the community. So again, I love us. I love my fellow Americans, whoever you are, of whatever shade you are, but especially in my Black neighborhoods in Chicago. Like, to say that I don't have a special place in my heart for our own communities on the south and west sides of Chicago is insane. So I've got some other videos and series based on some other research that I am going to get into. Most recently, the paper that I'd done for my class at UIC was a course on violence, and my final presentation was on displacement in plain sight was the name of it, and it was basically focusing on how the migrant crisis was disproportionately oppressing already distressed Black resources and Black communities on the South and West Side. So we will get into that. And then there's some other topics that I definitely know that are going to come up down the line, but I want to keep this very, detached and fact-based, and let's try to fix these problems, because the research is there. It's just we want to keep ignoring it because of our feelings, and it's just a disservice to us. We can't keep doing the same things expecting different results, and we need help more than anybody needs help right now. And the only people who are going to help us is if we help ourselves and stop playing into this bipartisan, machine politics that keeps us at each other and not at the actual issues, and not looking at where the money is being spent and where the resources are going and where our votes are failing us because we're just voting for a cult of personality versus, and who makes us feel good versus our own accountability and cleaning up the mess that we keep creating. So peace to you guys. Take care, and I'll see you guys around. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and comment if you have anything to say here. I will definitely try to respectfully respond, especially you will get the energy that you give me, however. But I try my best to take it all with a grain of salt and make sure that it is based in the policy and in the research. And so with that said, you guys take care and find some peace, because it's hard out here, but there is silver lining. There's a beautiful world out there and beautiful people, and it's all worth saving. And it can be if we just get out of our feelings, get out of our egos and our trauma, and do what needs to be done. So signing off, Nicole Coco Patrice. Take care. Bye-bye.